Welcome to the Decode Podcast. This is Rev 1.8. We have our usual gang of misfits here with myself and Elias. Go ahead.
Elias Malfavon with Metal Edge Services.
Sean Kincaid with KNF Electronics.
And Petr, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, where you hail from, and a little bit of background for how you kind of got into your line of work?
Thank you, Daniel. I'm Petr Dvorak, or Petr Dvorak from the Czech Republic. I'm freelancing hardware design engineer, offering my services to customers from around the world, and I'm quite active on the LinkedIn.
I would say
that's
so.
Certainly how all of us stumbled across each other.
Yes.
And I first started getting active on LinkedIn right about a year ago. And when I didn't really have hardly any connections at all, I started following all of your stuff, and I was pretty excited when you actually accepted my initial connection request a long time ago.
I just thought about it. Do you remember, Daniel? I even asked you to text him if you could accept. Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, it was like you were such a big figure that it was like, I sent the request, he didn't answer it, and then a week or two went by, and I was like, Daniel, can you message him and ask him to accept me? He was like, a little. So it was like superstar. Yeah, I had like 200.
I'm sometimes late with the confirmation of the request, because sometimes I received many of them. So I'm really sorry for the delay.
No problem.
It wasn't mentioned, intentioned.
No problem. Yeah, it was just funny that, here we are X amount of months later, and I'm talking to you on a EMS podcast with Daniel and Elias, and you're right in front of us. It's I don't know, we don't have many celebrities in our business, but you're up there for us at least.
You are so kind, and I'm not a celebrity. I'm just the guy from the internet who tries to sell himself to promote my services to the new customers. I'm not a celebrity. After 7 years, it works like this. I don't want to be a celebrity. I am just a guy who wants to, earn some money.
But your orange headphones, if I was at a trade show conference for electronics and I seen those orange headphones walking around, I know exactly who's wearing them.
Yeah. They're iconic at this point.
Yeah, I'm very happy for that. Those headphones, I think, work well.
Yeah, very signature. So I know once I saw on LinkedIn that you had run into, I think, Robert Faranick at a trade show. Is that right?
Yes.
What trade show was that? And for you, was that like running into a celebrity, or did you already know him, or what was that like?
Yes, it was in the spring this year, in April, in Nuremberg, Germany. It was the Embedded World show, like the show for hardware design engineers in embedded electronics, like microcontrollers, IoT, things like that, measurement. And Robert definitely is a huge celebrity among all big heads even in the US.
In the whole industry.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, I felt great, because he is somebody in our field. But he is he was born in Slovakia, Slovak Republic. This is a neighboring country to the Czech Republic, and we were formerly together, like one country. We separated 30 years ago. So yeah, we understand each other. The Slovak language is somehow slightly different from the Czech language, but we understand each other. So we spent a great time together there, and yeah, he's a great guy. Humble, very clever. Robert is the one.
So,
Very cool.
one of my questions that I wanted to ask you was, how did you get into doing hardware design? Did you know you always wanted to do it? And where did you learn all your, I call it KiCAD. I know you call it KiCAD, but where did you learn from? Because now the beauty of what you post is so much free. Hey, if you want to learn how to design, if you want to learn how I do my footprints, if you want to learn how,
super cool.
Some people want to come to LinkedIn and learn this masterclass stuff, and for somebody that's just coming into some type of field, it's good to have somebody show you the basics. At least that's how I look at it.
Thank you.
How did you get there?
Thank you for your words. This is exactly what I want to do, to bring more people to the KiCAD and to share everything I know, because what I know is not mine. Yeah, it's not my possession. It's something I accidentally come across. Yeah, I started my electronics career while at the age of 12 or so, but until the age of 33, I think 32, I didn't know what I want to do in my life. Yeah, I wasn't like sure that I want to be hardware designer for my life and to be better and better every year after year. Yeah, I studied electronics at my high school, then at the university. But after that, I left the development area for a while. I was in production. It was a operational unit between development and production. It was a so-called product engineering. So I learned a lot about production, but I was not in the development. And I said to myself after 5 or 6 years there, hey, if you want to continue as a developer, you need to go to the development group or to the development company, because otherwise you will at the age of 35 and nobody will hire you as a junior, because people at the 35 years are not juniors yet. They should be seniors, or I don't know who. So yeah, I switched to the switched companies to like some small company in the Czech Republic, developing measuring instruments, and then I became the hardware designer, but not before. So at the age of 30 something. So not so long ago. I'm 43 now. So yes, my father played with electronics all the time when I was kid. So probably I wanted to be like him, but as I said, until the age of 32, I didn't want exactly what I want to do. I'm like multi-area engineer. I think I know something about mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, slightly something about programming. So yeah, to be honest, on the high school, I wanted to be a programmer, to study the programming, the computer science. But I realized that I'm not a good programmer. I want to focus on electronics instead.
So you mentioned that you're involved in multiple disciplines. So you're not just doing hardware design. You're actually taking that design and turning it into the initial working product. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, you do. You understand correctly. But I need to correct myself. I'm not a mechanical engineer. I don't create like mechanical drawings and 3D modeling, well, like professionally. I just know about that stuff. I know that for electronics, I need to understand the consequences of the mechanical design, because everything must play together, yeah, in the final product.
You design the enclosures and stuff, yeah?
Exactly. Yep. Enclosures, mechanical connections, yeah, screws, everything, openings in the enclosures. So I need to understand everything, and I think I can play the multiple roles in the product development. But main focus, like 80%, is in the hardware development, like PCBs, PCB assemblies, and schematics.
And you're doing some small scale assembly in your, what do you call it, your lab DO?
Yes, in my lab. LabDio, exactly. Yeah, thank you for remembering.
I've been
the
following
post.
you.
Great, thank you. It's great to hear that. Yeah, in my lab here, but in reality I work from home. Here we are in the corner of our living room. So if I rotated the camera around, you would see that there is a sofa and
the
kitchen
professional
table
environment disappears.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's only 3 yards times 3 yards area in the corner, but the rest of my space is our flat. My wife is sleeping in the next room.
Yeah.
So yeah, from home, I can assemble some boards in the reflow oven here, like smaller reflow oven from China, but it works pretty well. Hot air gun and something around, but I don't focus on like series or batches more than 5 pieces. I don't want to. Yeah. I hate repeatable or repetitive work. Yeah, I can focus on 1 piece, 3 pieces, 5 pieces, but
after that,
more than
it's a chore.
Exactly. I think the serial work is for machines, not for a human.
Yeah, I started here at Aurora Boardworks as an operator on the machines, and hey, like, don't get me wrong, I actually loved the job. That's why I'm still here, because I loved it so much. I thought pick and place machines were so cool, you know. But that's what it's become for me now, that I do all the programming and the layout work for the machines and everything, and figuring out the right packages and nozzles and all of the. I like doing all of that stuff, getting it all set up just right and getting it through the design stage to where it's ready to run. If I actually have to run the product, like, you know, the same thing for too long, yeah, I'm quickly bored and wanting to do something else. I like the constant change. So getting to do NPI here is like my favorite thing when we have new jobs and I get to pour through the bomb and go through the, you know, the Gerbers and make sure everything matches right and just everything's going the right direction and the right footprint and that's my happy place.
Yeah, definitely, I understand.
4 days ago, I called Daniel. I don't know if it was 4 days ago. It was a couple days ago. I called Daniel on my way home from work, and I said, I don't even know what we learned that day, but we both learned something about something. And I called him. I said, do you ever think we'll go 4 days without learning something in this industry? You know, we both kind of laughed. You know, do you feel that same way with hardware design? It's got to be, right? Because there's always a new chip coming out. And there's always a new.
Yes.
It's different routing you can figure out. I imagine there's all kinds of stuff with like electromagnetic interference all the time that you can be learning, things with signal routing, and just, I don't know. I'm sure there's much more than we have any idea about.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoy this fact every single, maybe not day, but every other day. Definitely. Even yesterday, I learned a lot about the microcontrollers by ST Microelectronics, STCom. I focused on the smallest package. They produced the smallest ones, the STM32 in SO8, the small outline 8 pins. But they produced it as they call it multi-bonded package. So each pin of the package is like shared with 4 different ports and peripherals inside of the microcontroller. And after you program it, you lose the features of some important ports of the microcontroller. For instance, the boot pin at the microcontroller is deciding if you boot from the internal memory or from like serial bootloader to upload the new firmware. And when you program it using Arduino, Arduino is a platform for, you know it probably, the programming for like a form of not a play but simplified structure, simplified libraries.
It's an IDE, right?
It's a complete IDE, exactly.
Engine or whatever.
Exactly, including libraries and huge community support. This is the best thing about the Arduino, the community support. So when you program the small SoC, not SoC, the small microcontroller using Arduino, you lose some functions. So I learned that, it was a part of the job for my customer. I wanted to verify that I can use this small microcontroller for their product, but they want to use the Arduino for some simplification in the development. It's a very small company. I think they are contractors for some other companies. I don't know the details. It's not my job. It's not my business. It's my job, but not my business. Sure. So I verified that it's not possible to use it using Arduino because Arduino uploader doesn't set up the microcontroller correctly. So I was pretty long in the description, but every single day I learned something. And as I said, it's usually connected with multiple areas. This was like between programming and hardware design. Some other day, like day before, I learned something about mechanical design because I created like the protecting cover for my customer from Netherlands. I designed it using 3D CAD modeling in FreeCAD. I 3D printed the case and sent the case to the Netherlands for a check. And I received the response, hey, this is something we need to change. And I realized after that, hey, I didn't check this, and those openings in the PCB must be slightly bigger. And every day there is opportunity to learn something, and I screw up a lot of things. Even I post about it on the internet because I think part of the job is to be honest to the audience, not to be seen as a perfect guy, because nobody is perfect, and who wants to be seen as a perfect is not.
I know we all appreciate that, Petr, for sure, because that's one of the things we talked about before, is just that it seems like so many people want to project as if they know every single thing. They can't be taught anything. They've known it all, and I'm not trying to belittle somebody's experience, because obviously, like, a lot of the people that we interact with have a ton of experience, and they obviously do know what they are talking about. But I just, like, all of us are very open that we still have plenty to learn. We don't think that we know everything yet. And that's definitely part of this journey, embarking on this podcast, is being able to bring people like yourself on. And none of us deal with hardware design on a daily basis. I mean, Sean has somebody in his staff who he can talk to who kind of works on this stuff, but it's not a part of any of our daily life as far as what our individual responsibilities are. So I know it's cool to bring somebody on who can shed light into part of our industry, but not something that we do ourselves daily.
Yeah, I have to admit that the biggest issues recently I have experienced in the hardware development was when I I needed to modify the design for the manufacturing. So I communicated with a guy from the manufacturing company who maintained the serial production of a few hundred pieces, and literally I was like completely numb. Not numb, I don't know how to say, like, I was absolutely green. I spent a week. I have sent 10 versions to him, and he always answered, no, this is not what I want. You need to do this. So I was complete idiot when I working on that, like the design for manufacturing. There were not so special requirements, but I didn't want how to do it. So I wanted to say that hardware design is like ideal area. Yeah, we have schematics, which is without any consequences to reality. Then we have PCB, which is transformation from the ideal state to the, like, close to the reality, but it's still not reality. you
it's
guys
not in
at
the
PCBA
environment yet, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So you know what you need when you want to produce the PCBs, manufacturability, yeah, everything. You know what I'm talking. Stencils, solder paste printing, assembly, reliability. So I was like, yeah, I spent a week sending him more than 10 revisions.
Wow.
And after that, but it was always my fault. I
bet you learned a ton, though.
yes, I learned. And interesting is that it was for the company A, and after a while, I did the same for the company B. The requirements were different slightly. I spent again 3 days changing everything, because this time it was the manufacturer in China, and I modified the design for the flex PCBs here. There were some special requirements, different pads. They wanted round pads instead of rectangular or rounded rectangular shape. So clearances and
I wish everyone was so hospitable. There are things I'd like to change about almost every single board, but nobody wants to hear my complaints.
Yeah, I think we, as hardware design engineers or design engineers, should cooperate with the manufacturing guys more, because we feel like to be an experts in the area, but when we hit the wall, when something is not going as we believed that it should, then the guys from manufacturing will learn us a lesson or lessons, because we know fairly.
Well, there's a give and take to everything, right? And I know for the most part for us, when it comes to suggested changes that we're asking for, it typically comes down to time spent for us. Like if there's this change, it simply means now it can go through automation 100% without requiring human intervention. Without this change, now this introduces this whole entire extra step that it requires to make the thing work, and it's just like little things like that can affect the price in a gigantic way. So it's like there's times where, or like the placement of components, the way our selective solder works, some people have a machine that are, super fortunate. They have this tip, this micro tip that can get down to a 1.5 millimeters. And so, I mean, if you've got a machine like that, I mean, your components are going to be able to be much closer. You'll be able to get into much tighter areas without headaches. Me and Sean and other people who have to live in, the rest of the world, we have to deal with, there has to be some amount of space. So if it isn't going to affect your functionality, but it will affect if it's like, well, this has to be done by hand if it's this close to this, but if it can move just a couple millimeters in this direction, now suddenly we can use automation to do this, and that changes everything. So I know from our end as an assembler, that's where our special requests typically come from a DFM standpoint.
My special request for especially for customer supplied boards, is the basics. Can you please give me rails around your
borders,
right?
please.
Am I right, Daniel? The amount of times I get a PCB in and I'm like, well, this ain't gonna work on a conveyor, man. I gotta paste this edge of this part is over here, and so then I gotta build a custom carrier for it. And just give me the basics of the rails, right? Can we please just start there? That's the
I think the best way should be. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the price of those rails in comparison to the increased efficiency is it's a drop in the bucket as to how much more you'll be able to get done, and the cost saving as you'll save them way more in assembly with the increased automation than they will in that tiny sliver of material cost that is in that board. So it makes all the sense. That's all.
Definitely. I wanted to confirm what you said, Daniel, about the selective soldering, or how to say. yeah, this is part of the job. When I talked about what I need to rework for the manufacturing, I placed the THT pads too close to the SMTs on the bottom, so they wanted to use selective soldering, but I had to move the SMTs far from the THT pads, so I didn't know that before. I thought that I can place the components anywhere I want. So it was part of the realization that I was completely
because for prototyping
about
that proximity is never going to bother you, right?
Exactly.
It's going to be a simple soldering. Yeah.
Exactly. And what Sean said, I can confirm 100%. Guys, I wanted to encourage you to speak more about these usual, like the stupid things, and to learn us engineers about that, because we don't know that. We don't know that. We don't know these things. You take them as a automatic, natural things, but we are living somehow sometimes under rocks, and we don't know the manufacturing. Yeah, our manufacturing job is to send the button like on some manufacturing sites, so place an order and pay. This is our manufacturing job, but you know the rest. So please share more about this, because this way we can learn from each other and we can be better. We can become better hardware design engineers.
Yeah. One other thing I'd add is fiducials on the board as well as the rails, and please leave the copper. Please leave the copper in the rails.
Okay. So Sean, tell me, do we still need the fiducials? Sometimes customers want me, no, we don't need it. Sometimes there are strict requirements. Generally, do we need fiducials?
I need at least 3, unless I have to and then without doing 3, then I have to manually program the actual circuit board on the pick and place. And then as far as for PCB testing, you can align to a pad, but the pad might be shifted. Your fiducials, especially if they're on a board, they just give you more options, because not every fiducial.
Or if there's paste on the pad.
Yeah.
You know, if there's paste on the pad, now it's going to affect the camera's ability to detect the pad proper. I mean, I don't care about having.
You skipped right past paste printing in general, right? I mean, you're going to want fiducials on the board and then corresponding fiducials on the stencil for optimal alignment. I know there's other ways around it. You can use pads, but nothing is going to be as accurate as the fiducial.
Okay.
And quicker for programming too. It's so much easier, because with the fiducials, I just click this one button called Learn, and I click the little circle of the fiducial, and then that's done. Then go move to the next one over to the other corner, Learn, click, done. Where if it's a pad, I got to find the pad, then draw 4 corners on the pad, and then it's got to line up, and then I got to check the settings of the color. Daniel knows what I'm talking about. And then I got to go, and then it's a 4-corner pad. It makes it so much easier. And even Elias learned when he taught me when I get a stencil manufactured about the half etch. Is that what it's called, Elias?
Yeah, that's kind of a legacy term, because that's how fiducials used to be made on stencils. It was actually chemically etched halfway and then filled with like a dark epoxy to give that contrast. But now it's laser marked, so the same laser that's producing the laser cut apertures has a reduced power setting, so the beam can't penetrate through the metal. Instead, it creates a dark marking. And it's done at the same time the apertures are cut, so it's very true positionally to the rest of the assembly.
But it still goes back to your in theory part, right, Peter? You'll have, in theory, the PCB should be at this location, but the fiducial might be a little bit off in real life, that you get in. But we have to manufacture to theory at first, and then after it comes out, then we can make our tweaks after that, just like you had with your selective solder experience.
I think what's tough, we can talk about some of these items that we wish were understand in terms of process limitations. We wish were understand upstream, but those items can be different at K&F than they are at Aurora, right? No two companies have the same wants or needs.
Exactly.
So I think that's part of the big challenge.
There's no standard.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone has different equipment. Everyone has different processes. Everyone's operators are at a different level.
Our needs at Aurora are different than they were 2 years ago. We need different things from the customer than we needed 2 years ago. So, forget what somebody else might need. Our needs are changing,
So that can be even challenging for customers because they need to customize the data, the manufacturing data to modify the design for better manufacturing. Am I right?
Yeah, and for me too,
for sure.
If the customer has a CAD file, I can program that in less than 4 minutes onto the pick and place machine.
Oh.
But if you don't have a CAD file, I got to go from Gerber file. I literally have to highlight every single pad, tell it, okay, this is R1, highlight R2.
I don't know what that's going to be called in KiCAD. If does KiCAD have that type of option? Like, I guess you probably wouldn't really know, Petr, how our machines work and everything, but depending on what is it? If it's there's like 3 different kinds for me at least. I don't know exactly how it all works with CircuitCam, but with my software, if depending on whether it came from Eagle or Altium or Pads or wherever, they can all import individual Gerber layers, but then like there's ASCII files, there's CAD extension .CAD files, and there's a couple ODBs.
ODB++, yes.
ODB++. There's a few of them that if you import them that way, or if you export them that way, then when we upload it into our software, we don't have to assign anything. Orientation's already figured out. The component name is the reference designator is already assigned to the right location, to the right orientation. It's just the fiducials, everything, even generally like artwork on the board and everything. Like if your logo and stuff is on the board, everything just like it's the most visually accurate representation of the board you can have. And it reduces human error because if I'm grabbing 2 pads and then I say this is R1 and it's actually R11 and I missed it, and then I tell it, and there's 2 different components that go on those spots, and that, you can just spiral out of control quickly if you've made a mistake in the original programming. But with certain file extensions, it's not even a possibility. So yeah, it's crazy how much difference the setup is on our end if we're given certain file types versus others.
Yeah. When speaking about KiCAD, this is the place where the KiCAD is currently pulling the shorter end of the rope. The KiCAD can export only the ASCII files, the Gerbers so-called. But I heard that in the next version, in the following version, KiCAD version 9, there will be the possibility to export the ODB++ format. I thought before that it's a proprietary format which is not be supported by KiCAD, like never. But they announced that the ODB++ support is going to be in the KiCAD version 9, so hopefully the exports from the KiCAD will be better for manufacturing. Now we have only ASCII files.
Yeah, and for like me, I'm charging 5 seconds a pad. So to highlight that, right-click, call it R1. Versus if you give me a CAD file, I don't even charge for it because it's that much faster than.
Yeah. Definitely we need it as a KiCAD engineers.
Yeah, you've kind of brought that up. The fact that we can learn from each other, because generally we're siloed, right? Generally assemblers are stuck doing their own assembly thing, and for the most part don't even talk to other assemblers either. Forget talking to the designers and learning from them. And for the most part, we don't even talk to each other. Like, I don't know last time you were at a trade show, Sean, but one of the last ones I went to, it was a design to part show, and there was like most of the companies there were doing like plastic or CNC or some type of extrusion or some other stuff. But there was, a couple handful, actually, I guess there was probably like 18 or 19 vendors that were doing circuit board stuff. And so, I'd stroll around and I'd start to try to strike up a conversation with somebody because I'm like, hey, cool, somebody else who does what I do. This will be, they won't just glaze right over when I start talking about circuit boards, but it was like, they were mostly standoffish. Like they just instantly thought I was going to be trying to poach their customers or something. I don't know. Like there just was no camaraderie or shared interest or anything. So that's why Sean and I get along so well, because he actually wanted to talk about this stuff. So I was like, hey, cool.
Yeah, and we run the same equipment for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes it so much easier. And from my experience growing up in the PCB manufacturing world, everyone does talk to each other because we all have like the same grievances, the same conflicts, the same issues. There's really not a huge selection of equipment you can buy. Everyone runs the same thing. Even like Elias runs the same etcher brand that I ran when there's just, it's such a limited market of stuff out there. You kind of share with each other of what's going on. So when I got into this PCBA world, it was a kind of a shock, and it was refreshing to meet Daniel. And once I seen that he had an Ineo 2, I was immediately, hey, how you going? I see you got the Ineo 2 from Europlacer, and we just started talking about programming, and because we both started off running the line, and programming.
And now he feels comfortable calling me at 1 a.m. asking me how to program something. It doesn't even bother him.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was like it was 1:30 in the morning, but he was in Chicago, so I think it was 12:30 his time. And he was at a trade show, and I was having trouble programming a job because there was no fiducials on the board, and or it wouldn't pick it up. And I called him and I said, what do I do here? And then he taught me a setting on there that I never even knew of. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to run that job that night, So
Yeah.
it helps so much to have somebody in your back corner that you can talk, because nobody knows it all. We just discovered that, we talked about that earlier, that you learn so much every day.
Exactly. I think the skilled engineers in hardware design in their 50s or early 60s, they know everything because they have like 30 or 40 years of experience. But we younger engineers want to know that sooner than in the early 60s. Yeah, I want to know that.
Yeah. I want it all now.
We need to know it now.
Yeah, exactly.
I want the Matrix style download, or just like plug me in, just give me all of that right now.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
About stencils, about SMT assembly, about PCBs, I would be connected from the back, and I am.
Sign me up,
Elias. I know
exactly. Sign me up. Sign me up.
I know one of your pain points, and I experienced it today with you, was I just sent you a paste file, right? And then I'll let you take it from there, because this is your wheelhouse of what you want to see from a customer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I know on its face it's like, you're going to make a stencil. Here's the paste file. What else do you want?
Yes.
Well, there's a few reasons why I'd want other things, but one of the things is, we've talked about fiducials
like
a lot
silk
so far.
Screen?
Sure, absolutely, and I'll go through why. Not always are the fiducials present on the paste file, so we may need to pull them from elsewhere. Daniel mentioned the silk screen, and that's really important for a few different reasons. One, we use it to verify orientation, right? So if it's a top side, we want the silk screen to be right reading. If there's a bottom side to it as well, it's looking through the board. So almost always the bottom side paste needs to be mirrored, right? Because you're not printing through the board, you're turning the board over. So we use that silk screen to verify that the apertures are presenting as to be printed, right? So the bottom side, if we open up a bottom side paste and then overlay the bottom side silk, everything's going to be mirrored. It won't be human readable. So that lets us know that we need to turn it. Another reason why the silk screen layer is so important to us is because, oftentimes we're doing directional modifications. What do I mean by directional modifications? If we're home basing passives. So imagine you have this giant cluster of passives all next to each other. Are they going up and down? Are they left to right? We don't know for certain when they're very close together what their orientation
the silk helps with that a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does. Yeah. So otherwise we may put the say, for example, it's an inverse home base. It might be facing the wrong direction if we misinterpret that, and we can't interpret it without that silk screen layer. So yeah, it's really important. And there's so many other reasons we could pretty much talk all night about it.
On the email you asked for the copper layer, I believe, right? Because there was no FIDS.
Well, I needed to find the FIDS. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll get it with no fiducials and say, "What did you do?" And what am I? Well, it wasn't on your paste file.
Because I don't want the fiducials pasted, so I don't send it to him. But then he's like, I want to put those half-etched fiducials in for you, so it's easier for you to program. I need the copper layer to find out where to put those.
I actually have Elias put the fiducials on both sides of the stencil, just future-proofing in case, Europlacer's next model were to use top-down cameras instead or whatever. You just, that way you're covered no matter what you have.
Yeah, the Europlacer screen printers are a bit unique in that they use fiducials on the contact side, or I'm sorry, not the contact side, the squeegee side of the stencil. They're not the only manufacturer that does that, but the lion's share of them are picking up fiducials from the substrate contact side, the PCB contact side.
Does that cost more?
But does it cost more? No.
Because you got to flip that over to etch that, right?
No, you said not for me. You're saying it just doesn't cost more? I thought I was getting... Here I was thinking I was getting some special deal.
Yeah, you had a coupon. No, it is an extra step, but it doesn't cost. Unless you want it to. I can add it to the next quote if you'd like. Customer's always right.
It should cost more.
I did have a question for you, Peter, though, if I could ask.
Sure.
So we were talking about your headphones and the color's a little different. And you mentioned, you maybe can sometimes be a bit of an outlier. And to that end, and it's interesting to me, maybe it is to others, but I noticed in some of your posts you talk about using Mac products. So traditionally in engineering, it's very PC based. I think that's still the case. Maybe there's some more adoption of Mac products, but can you walk us through a little bit of why it is that you prefer Mac and what's better about it in your opinion, and kind of just take us through that a bit?
Thank you. Thank you
and
for the question.
And are you interested in a sponsorship? Because you're a pretty big deal. So if you want to...
Definitely I am, but I don't think that Apple is open to such kind of cooperation. But to that question, thank you. That's a great question. I started using Mac when I was still in the company I worked for as a designer at Dvorak. I used to use the Windows, of course, with the OrCAD Cadence OrCAD, and some pads from Mentor Graphics those days. And after I left the company and started freelancing, I was at home with my computer. My computer was the MacBook. So instead of buying expensive computer and software licenses for some software, I started from zero up. I started working for a company in Prague, which is capital of Czech Republic, the company is called Prusha Research. Prusha is manufacturing and producing and developing the 3D printers. You maybe know about them.
Oh yeah.
If not,
yeah.
So, and Prusha is like 100% depending on KiCAD. He uses KiCAD for everything, for manufacturing.
Wow.
For developing, for everything. So when I started working for them, I had to use the KiCAD, and I was happy because KiCAD is free. KiCAD is multi-platform for Windows, Linux, Mac. So I started with KiCAD on Mac, and after that I realized that I don't need anything more. So I sticked with Mac because I don't want to be seen as a rude guy, but I think it's the only system that is designed for work. The Mac OS doesn't bother me with some frequent updates, with restarts in the productive time. Yeah, you set in the window you work, but all the time the system wants to restart in the middle of your job. So,
I'm laughing because mine just asked me that a second ago.
yes. Okay, so I finished my speech about Mac devices. So they just work as Apple said. Not always perfectly because the complexity of the cooperation between even the headphones are Beats, the Apple-owned company. The watch on my hand and iPhones, everything in our flat there is everything by Apple because it just works together. Yeah, this is what I want, to work together, like hardware design engineers with manufacturing guys together. Work together is when the miracle happens. So yeah, this is it. Please go ahead, Sean.
Well, it wasn't even related to really anything else. I find it fascinating to me that you can speak at least 3 languages that you talked about today, right? When you said Brusha was the thing, my wife
Brusha,
is
yes.
Polish, and her mother's family is extremely Polish, and for
extremely Polish.
Well, I mean, I'm talking
what
about,
does it mean extremely Polish?
I'm talking about.
Explain.
I'm talking about
130% Polish.
They got Vigilia. They got, if you're over there on certain days, they're eating certain food no matter what. Kawasa, city chicken, dill pickle soup, you name it. Polish. They love Polish, and we, instead of calling her grandma, we call her Busha, which is grandma in Polish.
Yeah, in Polish, yeah.
So when you said Brusha, I just kept thinking, she just kept popping in my head.
Yeah, it's very similar word. This name is Brusha, like PR, Brusha. But yeah, mentioning the Polish heritage, I finished the book from Mike Conrad, as you spoke 2 episodes back. And I was surprised that even the father of Mike, I think I'm right, is or was from Poland. The Mike is the first generation born in the U.S. So his like roots lead to the Europe. So I was really surprised.
And that's what's so amazing about, even Robert. I don't know how you say his last name. I don't even know. I can't even try. But
Fairneck?
You look at his, but have
Fairneck.
you looked at like all the different places he's worked around the world? It's amazing. I'm like, this guy's everywhere, just everywhere.
Exactly. In the California,
he's
the
got
US,
a crazy
China.
background.
Exactly.
And
yeah, he's incredible.
And to be so successful starting off, with kind of the ball against you, it's just very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah. I listened to a podcast with him. I don't know the name of the show, but the lady who hosted or the hosts the podcast said that he took Robert to some show in the US. I don't remember what the show was named, and she wanted to introduce Robert to some audience, like Eric Bogatin and some other stars in the field of the electronics. So she wanted to introduce Robert, but everyone knows Robert, and she left behind because Robert was in the center of the area. Everyone was speaking with him, and she was surprised. She stayed surprised. Oh, everyone knows Robert. I didn't know that. So she said she didn't know that. So yeah, everything about Robert is interesting, and I think he is doing great job. I spoke to him, I don't know, 2 weeks ago about some training course dedicated for KiCAD that can be.
I saw that you're considering developing a course for his platform.
For his platform, exactly. The only issue is that it would take a lot of time, and I don't know how to allocate so much time for that. but I'm still trying to find a way, and I think I will to prepare some kind of training for absolute beginners, because I think today is very other way. Even more than before, engineers try to move from paid platforms like Altium Designer or Eagle to something else. And KiCAD is getting
especially with
better and better.
The prices are skyrocketing on the other platforms, and KiCAD's getting more and more, offering more and more similar offerings, more complex software, more streamlined operations, at least based off, if I'm to believe everything you post anyway, you're the source that I get all that from, but it seems like they've integrated a lot more useful technology into it from where it started many versions ago. I mean, to where you can actually use it to develop professional boards. I've noticed, some people almost challenge you at times or combat the idea, and they'll throw the words like, well, yeah, for a hobbyist, like KiCAD can work, or for somebody who's learning like a student or something, but for professional stuff, you should have professional software, But I've seen, like, if you're developing the work that you're developing, who can question it, really? That's what I'd say. I mean, you've got the proof to say it works. You're developing functioning boards and putting them out there into the world. What else can someone ask, right?
Right.
Exactly. The paid tools are maybe somehow better for the team cooperation, for instance, Altium 365 function feature. But I think when people want to find a way, they will. So even with KiCAD, it's possible to cooperate in the team. As I said, Prusa company use it, and in the Prusa company there is more than 1,000 people. Not everyone use KiCAD, of course, but higher tens of engineers are using together KiCAD. So yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Why not?
I have a customer that uses Altium. I can't tell you the amount of times where a part number and a description doesn't match in the BOM. So then we go to order it, and I got to say, hey, this says X7R and this says X5R. Which one do you want? In the description, and then one in the part number says a different way, and you're like, and that's using one of the best that's out there, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a disaster, I think, when the manufacturing data.
It is a disaster.
Together. Yeah, it's a useless.
Yeah, especially if we didn't catch that, because your BOM called for this part number, but we manually look at, does the part number on the DigiKey description match what your description was on your BOM, just to double check, because that accidents happen sometimes,
Yeah, exactly. And from my point of view, when we're speaking about ICs with the values on the package, or resistors, big package resistors with some printed values, it's okay. You can verify it manually.
Yeah.
But for the components, when there is no marking, it's I don't know how to solve it. To scrap it and start over again.
Yeah.
So, Petr, on one of my posts, might have even just been today, who knows, you commented
so many
that...
of them.
So many posts. I was gonna say that. With my 1 million impressions, I have so many posts. I don't know. It's hard.
It's late.
Okay? Where's one of them?
It's late for us. It's it's early for you. It's late for us. Everyone else will have to forgive us. You commented that in your past you've worked on electron microscope instruments. Is that right?
Yes.
What was that about? And that had to be interesting work.
Yeah. It was the job, as I started speaking about that at the beginning of the show. It was the job at the product engineering, so the operational unit between development and manufacturing. So I helped introduce new devices to the manufacturing from the development, because not not each product released by the development group is ready for manufacturing. Yeah, there must be some test instructions, test procedures to learn people on the floor with some new things. So yeah, and it was company, the FEI company. The FEI company was headquarter in Hillsboro, Oregon, and it was part of the big company. Yeah, you know, the fact is that Czech Republic is like quite big country for the electron microscopy. In cooperation with Netherlands, with former Philips, we produce more than, I think, 30% of electron microscopes worldwide. Here in Brno, in my city, Brno is 400,000 people in Brno, and we produce electron microscopes. And I worked for them between 2008 and 2014. I learned a lot, and we produced microscopes for Samsung, for TSMC, for ASML, for Micron, for Intel, for every huge company in the semiconductor group.
I've heard of at least all of them.
Yeah, those are some big names.
I bet. I learned a lot about manufacturing, but not about manufacturing like PCBAs, about manufacturing like how to manage manufacturing of products, the final assemblies of the electron microscopes. So yes, and yesterday, or for me yesterday, you posted about some X-ray pictures of your assembly, and it reminded me the pictures from the electron microscopy, because electron microscopes provides you with black and white pictures as well, and the feel of the pictures was the same as from electron microscopes. Definitely, the electron microscopes has much higher resolution. Yeah, there is resolution even below 1 nanometer. But yeah, it reminds me. So it was a great experience working them. I learned a lot about manufacturing. And the best way I could do was to left the company. Because, I wanted to start it, or to reposition myself in the hardware development. And as I said, it was not in the hardware design. So I left the company and started as a designer again.
How was Shenzhen when you went there? I mean,
Shenzhen,
I just as a PCB guy, to me that is like the mecca of circuit board world today, right? Like, so what the USA used to have with 5,000 PCB shops, it just all migrated over there. I would be like a kid in a candy store touring all around those shops. Did you get to see any PCB or PCBA shops over there?
Unfortunately, not that time. I was there in May this year. I helped my customer to not finish a design, to make some design changes and to help them to design new products. I spent 2 weeks there. And the Shenzhen is, I didn't believe what I saw. I didn't expect it. Even, I don't know how to say. The city is incredible. 23 million people in a conglomerate of Shenzhen. And even 30 years ago, it was a small fisherman village of a few thousand people.
30?
Now, 30 years ago, it was a small fisherman village. And now 23 million conglomerate of semiconductor and manufacturing. Yes, it's incredible. The Hong Kong, the island of Hong Kong is about 40 kilometers far from Shenzhen. So they move a lot of knowledge from Hong Kong to the inland, to the mainland China. Shenzhen is on mainland China part. So from Hong Kong, and then the Taiwan is far from there, but definitely a lot of knowledge from Taiwan was moved to the companies in the mainland China as well.
Did you get to go to Singapore at all?
No, I haven't been there.
I've heard Singapore is one of the cleanest places you'll ever be able to go. My sales rep has been there multiple times, and he used to do PCBA audits overseas, and he told me you could eat off the streets. That's how clean it was over there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, the China, the Shenzhen. Yeah, I say that I was in China, but frankly I wasn't. I was in Shenzhen, which is one city of the big China. But I didn't expect anything like that. I expected, I don't know what.
Did you ever feel unsafe, or was it just all positive? All positive.
Speaking of security, the China is special. Yeah, there is. I spoke with the customer representative or the company owner. He is from Spain. He's Spanish originally. He works in Shenzhen, and he said, "Hey, the China is I think the most safe country in the world because there are cameras everywhere. There is so many people there that the government must maintain the safety and to push the criminality at the lowest possible level using the surveillance cameras everywhere. So there are cameras definitely everywhere, on every corner, on every street, on every crossing, everywhere. Thousands, maybe millions of cameras, everything. There are lights blinking at the side of the road, like blue and red blinks, like as a police car blinks. Yeah, and I said to myself, it's like we are here, we are seeing you, we are watching you. Be careful, behave. Yeah.
In Detroit,
so there are no policemen. I didn't met policemen on the street. There are only cameras. And when you are speeding in your car, you are not stopped by the policeman and said, "Hey, you are speeding and there is a fine." No, you are speeding and you will receive the message on your cell phone. "Hey, you are speeding. There is a fine. We already
we took it.
Exactly. We took it from your account. Took it from your account. Definitely.
There's a fine and you've paid the fines."
Exactly. And the Spanish guy said, "Hey, there is no criminality. There is no stealing. You can leave anything here. You can leave your phone laying on the floor on the street, and it will stay there for hours because multiple cameras watching the spot. And when somebody would pick up your phone and steal it, he or she would be on the cameras, and the law
facial recognition,
the long
everything.
Hands. Exactly, facial recognition, everything. I wasn't aware of all the facts, and Chinese people are not allowed to cross the street on the red when the red light is at the crossing. Yeah, we in the Europe or in the Czech Republic, when there is no cars on the street and the street is short, we can cross even when the red light is up. But in the China, it's not possible. It's fine probably. And I waited for a green light at the crossing, along with some people from China, some Chinese people, and I looked around and said no car, so I went. And the people behind me, I felt their sight on my head, on my back. They said, "Oh, what the guy is doing? It's not possible to do it." So it happened.
Wow. That's like you mentioned Hillsboro, Oregon. I actually spent some time in high school age in Oregon, and at the time, I think they changed it, but at the time it was illegal to pump your own gas. So they had employees there who pump your gas for you. Well, we came from Nebraska. We didn't know that was the law, you know.
So you grabbed the pump?
Yeah, we stop at the gas station. We go to pump our own gas. Everyone's like, wow, freaking out. And we're like, what? What's the big deal, you know?
It's interesting.
A little similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same is in the Czech Republic. We didn't know. We didn't have, and we don't have the personnel at the pump station. Yeah? Everyone manually controls the pump station. Only some luxury pump stations has a guy who can fill your tank for you, but not. It's not normal.
Yeah, in Detroit, the city that I'm near is they probably about 15 years ago they started this thing where they put green lights that swivel around on gas stations, and that tells you that it's being monitored by the police. So if you're in Detroit at night and because there's so much crime that happens at gas stations. I can't tell you how sketchy it is in Detroit at night at a gas station. So
yeah,
when you're driving and
you
don't see you got to kind of look for the green light one, and then you go there, and then the police are monitoring it at least.
Mm-hmm. And do you think the Detroit will I don't know how to say, will getting better or in the future,
or kind of revitalized?
Yeah. What's your view of that?
Good PR, or is it, or is that happening?
Like the buildings have like definitely cleaned up down there. There used to be a lot of like empty buildings, and there used to be a lot of rundown buildings, but the last time I was down there, the homelessness is still bad. You still have a lot of people with mental illness walking around, and you can definitely feel uncomfortable. When you have someone coming up to you and you can just see that there's something mentally going on with them, and they don't have any place for help. There's nothing like that. There's fights that are going on in some areas. It's cleaner, but I don't know if they've done enough. A lot of big money came in from outside investors when Detroit went through their recession in 2007 and bankruptcy, and they kind of prettied everything up and made new housing, and a lot of people came in, and gentrification happened, but they really didn't address a lot of the mental health issues of the people that were already there, and so it looks prettier. It's definitely like a safer, cleaner feel, but if you spend too much time on any street, I guess that's probably like that in any major city.
I was just thinking that, like, even here in San Diego, if you get into downtown San Diego and proper, it's a similar deal, right? There's a lot of homeless issues, and the streets aren't as clean as the suburbs are. So I think that probably rings true for most of the cities in America, at least the big cities, kind of a similar type deal. But I hear Detroit has a big problem with e-bike gangs. Is that still the case, or?
Metro Detroit. So, and that was one thing I ever talked about with Peter was, I don't know how you deal with it, but sometimes I can get a comment on LinkedIn that's negative, and it kind of really affects me and rubs me the wrong way. And
sometimes.
I remember on your Shenzhen post, you posted a really nice story about how everyone uses e-bikes there, right? E-bike, and then some guy made a comment back to you about that's not an electric bicycle, that's an electric motorcycle or something like that.
Yes.
And it's like, come on, man, you know what he was talking about, just because it doesn't have pedals, right? Like, we get it, e-bike, that's what we'll call it for short, and it's just, does that stuff ever ruffle your feathers, I guess that's an expression we use? Does it ever get under your skin sometimes, some of the comments that are negative?
Yes, sometimes it does, and I'm not happy about that. I want to be like mentally above, and to have some helicopter view. It's like a noise only. But sometimes I dig into some kind of not argument, but I sometimes try to answer the comment, because basically every comment higher your engagement of your post. So you need your comments.
Sure.
And the negative comments are not good, but people usually don't read comments. They read the post, and if they like it, they hit the like button and go away, scroll away. So I try to not to discuss with some negative people, but I try to answer some questions, because when you answer a question, the people will try to answer. So then the engagement grows even higher. So I recommend to stay with foot on the ground, to have some overview about that. Definitely, I experience that all the time. For instance, yesterday or the day before yesterday, I posted about my mistake. And usually people say, "Oh, we are too perfect here on LinkedIn, and we don't speak about our mistakes." So I usually speak about them. And when you wrote about your mistakes, you get the comments like, "Oh, you should read the data sheet. Oh, you're at the RTFM. Oh, you everything." I know that, guys. I know that I am an idiot. I made a mistake. and I will improve myself. It's a part of the learning.
Yeah.
It's like even admitting your mistake isn't good enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But once you admit your mistake, then you are idiot because you made it.
Elias actually called me the other day because there was a comment on there he knew I was going to fly off the handle once I read it. And he's like, calm down. We're going to read this one together. We're going to take some deep breaths. I was like,
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, I follow all your posts. I think I marked the ring on your profile, so I get notified when you post some new posts. So I try to engage. I try to like everyone I saw post from you, because you deliver an excellent content on LinkedIn, because, as I said, very unique content, very expert content. And I read the post, and then a few comments, but comments from you when one of you answered, not the unknown guy comments. Even if the unknown guy from some hole in the world will write a bad comment about you, about your post, I don't read it. I'm just blind. I see only Sean, Elias, and Daniel. Nothing else. And I think it's pretty normal for other people. Yeah, we read the post and some interesting comments when you are engaged, but not some stupid comments from, as I said.
yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah. The reality is that the social media are the violent and cruel neighborhood, and we need to embrace ourselves. I heard I think very nice saying about posting on internet. When you are posting about internet, and when you are brave enough to post on internet, you must be a little bit a kind of a bitch. So, in the meaning of, don't care about other people, don't care about their opinions, don't care about comments. Like, go your way, follow your target, post about what you are doing, what you want, and forget everyone, because people are people.
It's tough though, because I care about my job, I care about my work, I have pride in what I do, and even when you were posting about like a pride in a mistake, you know, that you're open and honest about it, there's still like a negative part about it, and then you feel like it's attacking that pride part of your body. At least I do. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone, but you know, I feel like they're like belittling me, making me feel like less of a man almost. I don't know how to put it.
When I do something, when I work on a new design and I screw something up, it's quite frequent, but I try not to, but it happens. I learned to document everything. Every time I solder something, I repair something, I do something, I take photos about that. I take video, because it will be useful in the future in my posts.
Try not to repeat that mistake. Yeah.
Not to repeat my mistake, and to have some material for the posting, because I post 7 posts a week, and it's a lot. I need a lot of material to transform to the content. And when anything happens, like some mistake, I feel bad about my mistake, because I'm not happy. But on the other hand, I'm happy because it's something for the internet. It will be
some content.
Will be posted on the, exactly, interesting content, because I know that mistakes are very popular, and I will get some
well, if
good reaction.
If Sean if he posts 3 times in a week, he expects a parade from all of us. So 7 times in a week is heroic from our perspective. It's so hard. And the fact that, like, every day, pretty much at the same time, I get that notification that you've got a new post, you know. I mean, it's really that perseverance, and that, I mean, you don't stumble into the type of presence that you have on LinkedIn. Like, that's earned through lots of hard work, documentation, and forming those posts and being vulnerable on camera, vulnerable, showing your mistakes, showing your work. Sometimes the hardest part is when you're not when you don't think you're showing a mistake, you think you're showing something great, and then somebody else points out a mistake you weren't aware of. And you're like,
exactly.
oh,
it happens. It happens.
I guess this was an unexpected learning experience, you know. But
yeah.
You know, it happens for sure.
Yeah, the fun fact is that I have a buffer of posts. Yeah, the post for today that will be published in 2 hours or so was written 3 weeks ago about.
Wow.
So what is it like a chronicle? It's not the online like blog. It's a chronicle. So sometimes when
like you told me when you were posting about China, you had been home for a long time when those posts from Shenzhen were happening, right?
I was. I was.
And I felt like I was there with you, and you weren't even there.
Yeah, it was not. There were not 3 weeks. There were 1 week because I wanted to have some time to prepare some content from China. So I started posting about China when I was in the middle of my stay there. So after a week, I started posting that I landed in China. So the week I was back in Europe, I was on the internet. I was still in China. And it was if you were a detective, you would find out because the commenting time would change because when I was in China, that was a 6-hour shift.
Yeah.
And then I was back in Europe, and the comments were posted at different times.
Too funny.
So yes, there is a chronicle, and I wanted to say that sometimes I post about my mistake, and at that time the post is published. I already have a solution, of course, after 3 weeks, even the new revisions, and so sometimes, I wanted to say it happened once that sometimes I posted about my mistake. In the meantime, in the 3 weeks time, I find a solution, but I fixed that. But the comment I get under the post was proposing the better solution that I found. So you understand? So
next time.
Sometimes they're helpful, but a lot of the times when they're negative, it's hurtful. I don't know. Elias, can you get up close to the camera? I really want you to do, and I know this had been flashing through your head a whole bunch of times. It was like a 4-second clip Peter did. Can you get up close and reenact it because you said it? I know you knows what I'm talking about too. Come on, do it.
No, I'm not.
Do it.
No.
Don't be embarrassed.
Absolutely not.
Do it.
We can cut it out.
Now you have to.
You have to. Get up close to the camera too.
I'm turning redder than Peter's headphones. What are you doing to me?
Come on, do it.
Oh, that's
great. You got to do it.
I won't do it, but I'll tell you what it is. It's the video where you said your best piece of advice was fail fast and fail often. We say that amongst each other very much. We like it. But what Sean's saying is that I try to we try to do accents and I try to do yours. But
do the accent at least.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it.
Please do it. Please do it. Please, Elias, please. Please do it.
He's begging you now.
Yes, please do it for me.
Come on.
Oh my God.
It's 4 words. Just say it. It's 4 words.
Please.
I won't even be able to. First, I'll do my best actual impersonation of his real name, and then you can do it. Okay? If I show that vulnerability, okay? Here it's Petr Dvorak. Is that the real name? Is that okay?
Yes, completely okay. It's perfect.
Yeah. Here, now you can go. Now go. We set the table for you.
How about this?
Now I will stop thinking about that. So, Elias, it's your turn.
Yeah.
There's no way I won't be able to keep my composure.
How about this?
So after the show.
Yeah, after the show, maybe.
There you go.
How about this? I'll do it first, and then Daniel will do it. Then Peter will do it. And then you have to do it. Okay.
What we have to do now is tease for some future episode. we'll release the footage of Elias's of what he was gonna say.
I tell you, I'll record it after this when you guys aren't looking at me, and I'll send it to you in the LinkedIn group.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
There you
All
go.
right.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's getting late here, and it's early there, and we really appreciate you coming on with us. I mean, we won't make too big of a deal about it, but you're like a celebrity to us, and just kind
we'll
of
wait till you
watching
get off
from,
so you're not too uncomfortable. But like
Yeah.
super excited that you joined us for this. Like, I mean, I'm not lying. The first time you liked one of my posts, I think I'd maybe had posts that had like 500 impressions, and then I posted this one, and you liked it, and it hit like 5,000 impressions, like so fast. And I was like, I guess I don't know when the fame is coming. I'm expecting people to show up at my door, knocking down. But it made a big difference to me, and I've really appreciated your support on LinkedIn. It's been great getting to know you on and off the public side of it, like our private DMs and everything. Like you've been really helpful to me as an individual, and just following all of your stuff publicly. It's been really awesome. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Really.
Thank you for your words. I really appreciate that. I love you guys, all of you, because your content is genius, and the engagement, and I remember when we got in contact together, then you wrote me a message that there is a guy about Sean KiCAD you wrote. You must know him. You must I don't know what was the message. And then the similar story with Elias, I think. So I'm very happy that we are in close touch on the LinkedIn, and now we know more about us personally, from the show. So I'm very, very honored I am here, and that you're having me. So thank you so much.
And I will say too,
it was a lot of fun.
Real quick is professionally, Peter, you have sent we've been able to have a few design opportunities together, and your design quote I seen back, hands down by far, I've never seen a better RFQ returned in my life. The professionalism, and I loved how you had different types of packages of Express and VIP and Basic, depending on the needs of this project. And I was just really impressed with the way you laid out your quote, the way you laid out with your times. And if anybody's looking for a PCB design engineer, I highly would recommend you, especially
absolutely,
especially
and to that end, Peter, if somebody's looking for your services or wants to follow your content, just give the listening audience where the best place to keep track of you is, and how to get a hold of you if they need what you're offering.
Thank you for the opportunity. I think the best way for them is to find me on the LinkedIn. There is a profile called Petr Dvorak is a very common name in Czech Republic, so it's hard to find me like by searching for the name. So the profile name is Petr-Dvorak-HW. So this is Petr-Dvorak-HW, and this is where they can find me, or search for your contacts, and or look below your posts, and then they found my comments and like, so something like that. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Look for the Beats headphones, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Interesting is that I use one sentence only. I will be short. I'm using Canva system for publishing my posts, and so editing video, editing pictures, and everything. And I uploaded a few pictures of myself, like selfies, with the headphones. I place in my post, and there is the upload section with the content, and you can search through that. And every single post has a picture or two, so there is hundreds, maybe thousands of pictures there. And when I look for my selfie, there is a section of selfies, but not every picture with my face is visible there. So I need to search, and I don't. I type headphones, and then all my selfies appear. So I'm not a guy. I am headphones.
Yeah. It works. It works for you. Well, thank you again. Thank you to our listening audience. This was a really fun episode. We hope everyone who listens enjoyed it at least half as much as we did. It's a lot of fun. So for everyone here from the Decode podcast, thank you again. Until next time.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.